So before jumping into Diablo 4, yes, this game is always online, same as Diablo 3, and no, I don't care. The always online outrage was grandfathered in from Diablo 3 and some content creators still try to address it. I think that's silly, of course it's online, it's a multiplayer game, and actually it was one of the few good things about Diablo 3. We bitched about it when it came out because it was a departure from what Diablo was until that point, but looking back at it, it's the thing that kept that game alive. Because without it, D3, the garbage piece of shit that it is, would have died in the same number of weeks. So starting off, of course I made a Barbarian. Yes, I know barbarians are a bit weaker than other classes, at least in the beta, and that necromancers and sorcerers are OP, but this is fantasy. If I wanted to play as a scrawny nerd, I'd stay in real life. Anyway, the character creation isn't that great, I expected more, but what we do get is decent and we can make some pretty cool looking characters. I just wish there were more options. Moving past the incredible, revolutionary, stupendous even achievement of having our character in an in-game cutscene, they really nailed the atmosphere. We have a sort of return to form. Gone are the stupid cartoonish graphics. Now we have a more realistic and gritty look. The lighting and shadows, apart from our own, which rotates with our character for some reason, look amazing. Every time I left my computer and saw my screen, I was drawn in by how amazing everything looks. And the performance is really good too, for the most part. I've got a few stutters here and there, but mostly that happens when changing a zone. But for once, the recommendations aren't lying. And on low, I'm pretty sure you could run this on a potato if you wanted to. Or even a phone.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
You can play on your tablet too.
And it proves that Pathfinder is a resource hog and Baldur's Gate better perform just as well. Now I don't know a lot about the story, I basically stopped progressing the story after reaching the main town because I wanted to savor the story when it fully releases, but I hope they continue with the more grounded approach, where we have to deal with demons on a smaller and more personal scale. I'd rather be saving a village or a family from a bunch of demons than fight off devils in an invasion of heaven. That intro alone was worth playing the beta. Anyways, so I played around the story, and it might just be me since I'm playing a damn barbarian, but the game feels way harder than D3, which is good, I'm not complaining, but some of these fights are insane, like this damn spider. It's not enough I have to get close to it in order to hit it, but then it decides to spray web everywhere, all while spewing poison. And if that wasn't enough, the thing also summons a fuck ton of monsters. And no, not any kind of monsters, no, the explosive ones. So look at this situation. I have to avoid the web while chasing the boss, while getting chased by exploding enemies, while dodging the acidic shit. I can't do anything. Whatever I'm doing, I'm gonna get hit. Do you think that's enough? Why even stop there? Why not just place spike traps everywhere, make the floor lava, and have some bricks fall on me from the ceiling while you're at it? And if somehow I kill the boss, the whole dungeon explodes. I wonder how many people lost their hardcore characters here, or worse, to the absolute death sentence that the Butcher is, which thankfully I never had the displeasure of running across. And luckily I went with normal. If I went with hardcore, I would have had to break something. Again, I'm not complaining, I just want to share my experience of leveling as a barbarian. And no, I didn't look up build guides. Personally, I hate min-maxing. Always having to make everything perfect, it's stressful and it feels like homework. And I'm way too old for homework. It's why I don't like playing WoW. You have to research everything, you have to have the right build down to a T. And you might be saying, yeah, you have to do that in order to play with other people and not waste their time. And I agree. I understand that in the dark ages that was 2004, people didn't know anything, and now the community and the game aged like fine wine. And you have to learn all this stuff. Well, for me it aged like dog shit, and the numbers don't lie. Player count is down, and I'm willing to bet that all this min-maxing plays a big role in it. And besides, building your own character is half the challenge of beating a game like Diablo. If you just follow guides, you might as well not even have a skill tree. And the game isn't as hard as Elden Ring or Sekiro, where I have to look up stuff just to make sure I'm not suffering from some sort of mental deficiency, so if I can help it, I'll stay away from looking at any sort of guides. Going back to my own struggles, look at this next fight. Ignore the fact that I'm invisible, the game decided to give me an extra challenge, and unfortunately I was too shocked by how much the game was kicking my ass to start recording in time. But in this fight, this guy just places these freezing traps everywhere, and I mean everywhere. And he does this bashing attack in front of him, and if you're behind him, he just swings around and hits you really fucking hard. And I can't dodge it because of all the freezing stuff. For the love of God, at least tell me what's going on with my character. I can't even tell when I'm getting frozen. Like, hey, you're poisoned. Hey, you're frozen. Hey, you're getting fucked in the ass. But no, instead everything has to be a surprise in this game. 1 minute you're fighting, the next... and bam, you're dead. Thankfully I was able to call my sorcerer friend, and he, killed it in one go. After this I had to reevaluate my life choices and my build. So this is what I came up with. First, I went with Flay, since Lunging Strike wasn't cutting it. And besides, there seems to be this focus on bleeding with Barbarian, so I decided to lean into it. After that, I took Rant, which gives a lot of damage over time. I can hit an elite and theoretically kill it in 1 or 2 shots. I basically made him the physical incarnation of that time of the month. But unfortunately, I have to wait for the damn thing to bleed out, and meanwhile my Barbarian ass is getting destroyed, so I had to go for some protection. So I picked Iron Skin and Challenging Shout, and after that I maxed out Death Blow to compensate all that slow bleeding. So what I created here is basically Darius from League of Legends, with a lot of bleeding and executes, and I can spam this execute as long as I can kill something with it. Then I tried to put some crit on it and a bunch of thorns, and that's it, that's what I came up with. Oh, I also managed to find an item that regenerates my health in combat depending on how many enemies I have around me. All in all, this build feels really visceral and cool, if I do say so myself. So with level 25 reached and my wolf pup secured, I then decided to try my second pick for a character. Druid, this time on hardcore. Who wouldn't want to play as a giant shape-shifting werebear or werewolf? That's freaking awesome. Unfortunately, Blizzard decided to give this giant beast the same damage as that of a fruit fly. I swear it just so happens that this game made the 2 characters I was most interested in playing be the weakest ones. This guy is a complete joke. The scaling is horrific. He would be bad even if he was the only class, but add the comparison between him and the sorcerer or necromancer and you've got an absolute meme of a class. So you can imagine my first trip down hardcore lane didn't last long. Blizzard needs to fix these classes. Even if by some miracle Barbarian and Druid become better later on, it shouldn't be like this. They should feel as good as any other class while leveling. Sure, some of them do some things better than others, but you can't have a class that does everything better. Sorcerers are tankier, give more damage, while having to do less mechanically. Just as an example of that, take a look at this. Gain berserking for 1 second after swapping weapons 10 times. 10 times! I have to switch weapons 10 fucking times for 1 second of berserk. What kind of twitching crackhead developer thought of this? And I know I could probably extend the duration, but do the sorcerers and necromancers have to do the same fucking thing just to trigger one of their class core mechanics? Of course not. Sorcerer just plops hydras, spams chain lightning, and occasionally puts a barrier on. And necromancers just go to lunch, and by the time they return they're 2 levels higher. Meanwhile, I have to deal with lessons in advanced trigonomics, jump through hoops and shit just to stay alive. And sure, geniuses will probably come up with good builds, but I shouldn't have to be a mathematician or have 3 years of studying testicular dynamics just to make sure my class is good. And Druid? Well, just look at the poor guy. He feels bad, I feel bad for playing with him, it's an embarrassment. So much in fact, I didn't even record most of my time playing the Druid. It was that bad. Every time I find some Druid footage, it feels like I just found Bigfoot. Please, for the love of God, just fix this. And while you're at it, here's some more things to fix. The UI. I can't believe people are getting paid to deliver this junk on our screen in 2023. Where do I start with this? Okay, first of all, we don't need these numbers here. It takes a huge part of the screen for no good reason. What, do you think we're stupid or something? We've been playing games since forever. We know which icon belongs to which number on the keyboard. But if you really want numbers, then just put them inside, okay? Not out, inside. Next thing, these balls on the side of the cast bar. Move these up a bit so we can move the cast bar all the way down. Or better yet, in the corner. Look how much space we are saving. And look at all this wasted real estate up here. Make this info smaller and move them on the minimap. and move the minimap all the way in the corner. Now this is how the UI should look in 2023. But wait, there's more! Add an option to change the scale and positioning of the entire UI. Games have been doing this for years and years, but Blizzard, the innovators that they are, decided not to. And yes, you can do this on console too, you can just use the joystick to drag the UI elements around. Then you add a button that makes the minimap bigger when held down, so people won't have to open the map all the time. And Blizzard, if you're gonna do any of these changes, I'm waiting for a phone call and a job offering. And I don't want to hear any, oh, he swears a lot, he doesn't represent the spirit of our company, blah blah blah. Cause me going,
shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tit
doesn't even compare to what some of your other employees have been up to. But I digress. Here's some more changes for you to change in your game. People brought up moving with the WS... In my opinion, this is what Blizzard should do. Separate movement from attacks and make it so we can have a button of our choice, either keyboard or mouse, act only as the move command, without losing a spell slot. This would alleviate many of the problems players are having. Some might choose to have a key like Control be the move key, and the mouse would just turn you in the direction you want to move. This would help with the pain some players are experiencing when having to hold or click a mouse button for too long. But in the same time, let people choose if they want this button on the keyboard or as before on the mouse, but separate from the attack. Also, while I'm on the topic of movement, I really enjoy how the characters move. I think they did a great job, but sometimes I want to disengage from a fight and I drag my mouse away from the monster by like 5 centimeters, but my character refuses to disengage. Anyways, I thought I'd mention that. Now I would like to move on from practical changes to more philosophical ones.
If you're gonna go into a video game and like you're planning on spending 5,000 hours into a video game, that is a fucking mental disorder. Like, there's no way that a game, you can't know that beforehand. Like, what is wrong with you? And playing a game for 5,000 hours is fine. I think that's normal.
I would love to find a game that's so good I spend 5,000 hours in it. The world can be a downer, and people, myself included, find solace in these beautiful worlds. And before you jump with, oh, the world is better than ever, you wanna see a downer, go back to the Dark Ages. True, and if you took a person from the 1300s, expose them to all the wonders of modern society, they would resort to piss bottles in less than a day. So don't give me that bullshit. In my opinion, they should have made Diablo 4 the Diablo version of Lost Ark, but Blizzard lacks the vision and the courage to see it come to fruition, because, and I'll piss a lot of people off with this, but I think the concept of the game as it is right now is already outdated. The very notion that you would ask players to repeat the same dungeons over and over and over again is insane to me. It's like coming up with the Burning Crusade, but instead of a new zone, new dungeons, and new classes, you just repeat the same dungeons from vanilla, but a little bit harder.
I think the lack of complexity is just simply because people are comparing it to an end game of like PoE. I feel like with the Paragon system, with the legendaries, with the class affixes, or like that, you know, the enchantments or the arsenal with Barbarian, I feel like it's going to be complex enough.
Yeah, the classes are complex enough, well, some more than others, but the world around them lacks the same complexity. In my opinion, this is what your philosophy should be when developing this type of game, Blizzard. You give us a bunch of classes with options, then you design dungeons in order to push both the player and their character to their limits. You need to be fast, doors open and close, pillars come crashing down, and you need to dodge and sidestep your way past all these. You need to be strong and fight monsters that are challenging. You got that part right so far.
I have to resort to sheer brute strength. Know any brutes whose strength you can resort to? Oh, shut up.
But you also need to be smart and figure out puzzles, invisible walls, and actual labyrinths which you would have to navigate in order to finish the dungeons. Think of it as an experiment. Test your players and their characters in unique and complex ways. Also, make every class deal with issues in their own way. For example, I mentioned pillars squishing you, so the sorcerer teleports but risks teleporting right into a trap. But the Barbarian would have a mechanic where you need to push against the pillars by moving into them. Of course, you don't have to do it exactly like this or do it in every dungeon, but at least try to give us some dungeon variety. Don't have every dungeon be the same. Go in, kill waves of monsters, get to the boss, kill the boss. Also, give us things to collect in the world, like I don't know, pets or something, or mounts now that you have them. Add to this roleplay elements with decision making in an MMORPG environment, and you've got Game of the Decade material. Instead, you give us the bare minimum. Why? Where is your passion for this world you are creating? Is this repetitive, mindless gameplay really the best you can offer? I don't believe that. I know you are capable of shaping the future of gaming just like you once did. And do I need to pay a subscription? Because I'll do it. I'll pay a subscription if that means unique challenges and the same support as World of Warcraft, complete with a persistent world with expansions that add new landmasses to the map. I would pay it in a heartbeat. Or you're expecting too much from them. If you don't expect more, you're gonna get less. Hell, the way things are going, you're gonna pay more and get less. They want you to pay 20 euros more just so you can do the same dungeons a bajillion times 4 days early. Now, I feel I need to say this, especially after ranting for the past few minutes. I really enjoyed my time in the beta. I like the world, I like my barbarian, I like everything. Well, almost everything. So don't think, oh, I had a great time in the beta, what is this asshole on about? I had a great time in it too, dude. That's why I want it to be good. And these glaring issues with the genre as a whole and with this game in particular, like the class balancing and the repetitive nature of the game, should be on the forefront of the developer's mind. As it is right now, I'm still looking forward to play the game, but for how long? I really wanted to play Diablo 3 when it came out, but that sentiment didn't last long, and I hope things will be different with Diablo 4. And the way they did seasons in Diablo 3 was really off-putting to me. I don't want to have to create another character to play a season, I want continuity, dammit. I want to play with my main character and continue my adventure. Now I could go on talking about this, but I think I hit all the major points I wanted to talk about. Now I need to return and finish the video I was working on before this beta came out. Thanks for watching and take care.